what is the best approach that you may suggest to deal with LGBTQ problem as their human rights are getting preference over our freedom of speech?
The question that is posed is that how should we deal regarding freedom when it comes to LGBT issue? LGBT, lesbian, gays, bisexual, transsexual, LGBTQ, cure, then I is international plus. So it keeps on expanding. First was only lesbians and gay. Now it's LGBTQ plus, I plus. So anyone who is something else than a bisexual, he comes in this group. How do we deal? See, when the Western world is talking about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, I feel it's hypocrisy. Everyone has a right to think what he feels. He may be right or he may be wrong, that's different. I may agree, I may disagree, but in the freedom of expression, we have a right to express. But where it comes to the issue of LGBT, even if you voice an opinion, you can get arrested in many of the Western world. And again, my same formula, master key of dawa. Ta'ala ila kalimatin sawa'im bainana bainakum. Now most of the Western world, they are so-called Christian. They may not be practicing, but they claim to be Christians. About 3 billion people in the world, they claim to be Christian. They don't practice Christianity. Practicing will be a small percentage. But they claim to be Christian. Now if you read forget what the Quran says, forget what the Hadith says, you're a Christian. What does the Bible say? There are many places in the Bible which condemns homosexuality. I can give a talk on that. There's a question at the time. I'll just give one important quotation from the Bible in the book of Leviticus. In the book of Leviticus, chapter number 20, verse number 13. If it says, if a man sleeps with a man, how we sleep with a woman, it's an abomination, he should be put to death. If a man sleeps with a man, how we sleep with a woman, it's a sin, and he should be put to death. I'm not saying that. Quran is not saying that. It is the Bible, book of Leviticus, chapter number 20, verse number 13. So, ta'ala bila kalimatin sawaim baina bainakum. Come to common terms as between us and you. So as far as Christianity is concerned, same thing you'll find in the other scriptures also. Now coming to those who don't believe in scriptures, and today there's an irony in the Western world, they are forcing in Europe, in America, they are forcing in school to educate the children who are hardly 6 years old, 7 years old. It is no problem having 2 fathers. It is no problem having 2 mothers. They don't even give the rights of the parent. Now, they are promoting even change of gender. And if a young child who is not even an adult, if he wants to change the gender and the parents object, the parents can be arrested. What is this? Where is the freedom? Where is the freedom? And if we Muslims disagree, when you talk about freedom, we have a right. Who's right or wrong, we'll discuss tomorrow. I tell them simple question, 30 years back, 40 years back, maybe in the 1980s, almost everywhere in the world, homosexuality was a crime. Then, it started in the 90s. I remember I'd gone to Canada in 1996 for a talk, and I saw on the front page, a man kissing a man. That means they've permitted a man to marry a man. So in the 90s it started legalizing. Then 20s came. Now, to speak against it has become a crime. So what you have to understand, for centuries you have said it's a crime. Now if we say the same thing what you have said 40 years back, 50 years back, and you're telling it's a crime, okay. Even if we don't agree who is right, how can you tell us not to believe what we believe? We have a right. And that's what I liked about Qatar. About Qatar when they had the World Cup, that's a few months back, in November, December last year. In the World Cup, they were strong. They saw to it, they held on to the principles. And they said, we cannot change our belief a culture for 1 month just because we are holding the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. And they stuck to it. And they saw to it that they said, what you believe in your country is fine. In our country, we will not allow what we think is wrong. So what we have to understand that the today's law in the Western world is so absurd. It is so illogical that it's difficult for a Dai to support his view or even voice out his view. So in this, you have to be careful that when you're giving the answer, give an answer not that you will get banned. Because if you give a clear-cut answer, many places you will be banned. And there are many of my colleagues, just because we spoke against, not spoke against homosexuals. In fact, I always say that when I talk about homosexuality, I am not speaking against them at all. I'm speaking for the benefit. I'm a doctor. When I meet a person who has diabetes, I want to cure him. So I'm not his enemy. So when I meet a homosexual, I never treat him like an enemy. I treat him like I want to get him close. Close to humanity, close to Deen. So I tell the homosexual all the things that I have knowledge as a medical doctor. What is good, what is bad for him. So while doing this, like when I'm treating a patient who's an alcoholic, or has diabetes, or has some illness, so I as a doctor, I want to be friends with these to get him closer to the right track. That what is good for him for this dunya and what is good for him in the akhirah. Hope that answers the question.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, and many thanks, a zillion of thanks to our prominent speaker, Dr. Zakir Naik.